Welcome everybody. My name is Squeege, and today we're gonna go through our top 10 movies of 2024. Yes, the Oscars are coming up, so that's why it's happening right now, in time for the Oscars. I understand it's late, but there's no better time than now, so let's just get right into it. Okay, so I lied. Before we go any further in this video, I want to say that there are some movies I haven't seen yet. They'll be up here on the screen. Lovely. And there are movies that I have seen that didn't make the list, but I would love to give a shout out to, because honestly, I feel like there's this conversation going around in the community that 2024 hasn't been a good year for films, but I disagreed. I thought 2024 was fantastic. And maybe maybe I'm stupid, but I kind of liked 2024 more than I did 2023. And 2023 was amazing. There was movies like Society of Snow, there was Oppenheimer, there was Zone of Interest. There was a lot of great movies, but this year there were a lot of good movies too. So here are my honorable mentions. All right, so I'm just gonna list them out rapid fire. We have Memoir of a Snail, Wicked, Nosferatu, I Saw the TV Glow, Look Back, My Old Ass, Challengers, Queer, Furiosa, Transformers 1, Inside Out 2, and Deadpool and Wolverine. That's a lot of honorable mentions, but hey, I can't decide. I'm very indecisive. But now that that's done, we can actually get into my list, my top 10 movies of 2024. Yeah, I'm wearing an Edmonton Oilers hat today because by the time of this recording, Team Canada just clinched in the Four Nations tournament, and they're playing Saturday versus the States, and we're going to kill those Americans. To all the Americans, I love you. It's just I'm Canadian, so let's go Canada. Oh, and Connor McDavid is the love of my life. So. So our number 10 pick is Conclave. Conclave, directed by Edward Berger, is a phenomenal movie, and Ralph Fiennes' character in the midst of selecting a new pope after the pope had just passed away. It's so good. It's filled with intrigue and mystery about all the different types of people who can be selected. And it really makes you think, in this system, the amount of fraudulent, amount of corruption there is within the people that we look up to, it's insane. It really is. It honestly reminds me of what's going on in the States right now with the president. Obviously, it's a timeless movie about who we're putting our trust into and why we shouldn't be trusting them or why we should be trusting them. And then the irony of this whole religion, I'm not going to do any spoilers. I really won't, because that would suck. It really would, especially with a movie like this. There's a lot of twists and turns that are worth just experiencing for the first time, like I did. Backed by beautiful cinematography, some amazing shots, and the color palette is beautiful. There's a lot of red, which I find amazing, right? Because this is about the church and about the Pope, and red being signs of corruption and the devil, and that being the most prominent color in the film, to me, I just found was the icing on the cake. But yeah, Conclave, I love it, and I'm happy that it's getting the praise it's getting. So yeah, let's move on. So yeah, the number 9 pick is The Brutalist, directed by Brady Corbet. This is an epic. It really is. It's 3.5 hours long. It's split in half. You get an intermission when you go watch it in the cinema. It's shot on 70mm, so it looks fucking beautiful. It really is an experience. And I recommend that if you're going to watch this movie, go watch it in the cinema. That is the way it was meant to be seen. Some movies don't really care about that, but this movie does. This movie needs to be watched in the cinema. Moving on from that, the performances are all fantastic. I spoke about that in my previous video, but Adrien Brody, Guy Pearce, Felicity Jones, all fantastic. The cinematography is mind-blowing. Some of the most beautiful shots of architectural designs and buildings. The camera's placed in certain positions that you wouldn't normally put the camera in, but because it's positioned in that exact spot, it makes a corner of a building look so beautiful. a corner of a building. Normally wouldn't look that great, but the brutalist finds a way to make it look good. And just when you think this is going to be an inspirational rise to stardom, it's not. It really isn't. It's a devastating story about the horrors of immigrating to America. It really is something that you need to experience just to see how fucked up it is. But it's in the title. It's brutal, and I really recommend that if you're gonna watch it, I'm gonna say this again, okay? Go watch it in the cinema. You will regret watching it on your TV, on your phone, or whatever. And make sure that if you're gonna watch it on a 70mm screen, because otherwise you're not gonna get the full experience. Yes, I know the AI allegations are kind of soiling this film's reputation, but I'm gonna let it slide. I think that's a whole other conversation, but whatever the case may be, The Brutalist is at number 9. Number 8 goes to Flow, directed by Gintz Zibalodzi. I hope I pronounced that properly. I even put a little bit of flair in the last name, so I hope I did it justice. But Flow, oh, this movie is just special. It really is. A movie with no dialogue, which makes sense. It's a movie with just animals trying to survive a massive flood. And it's beautiful because you get to see all of these different animals, different species that normally wouldn't work together, right? They wouldn't, because that's just not how that works. But in this case, they need to survive. And they're all on this one boat, and you can see them interact with their body language, or let's say the main character is a cat, and the cat meows, or purrs, or uses its tail. And all of these little things are so beautiful and heartwarming. And yeah, the film looks amazing. The animation kind of reminds me of a video game, and not in a bad way. You know, some cutscenes are beautiful. Like, just think about Red Dead Redemption 2. That could have been a movie, and I wouldn't have batted an eye. But what Flow does exceptionally well is there's a lot of intrigue. The movie is quite mysterious. You don't know what's happening half the time, but you're worried for these animals. You don't want any of them to die. I mean, God, that's awful. But there's a lot of moments of hope and sadness. And at the end of the day, a movie with animals with no dialogue makes fucking sense. It doesn't happen often, but Flow did it, and Flow did it so well. Oh, and watch it with a dog. So my girlfriend, actually, and her family, they watched Flow with their pet. And apparently the dog was up nose to the TV, like interacting with everything, because the film is kind of made for animals in a sense. I don't know if that sounds stupid, but it clearly was made for animals. You'll know what I mean when you watch the movie. So yes, go watch it. Next. Yeah, so up next we have Didi, directed by Sean Wang. Wow, man, this is easily the most underrated film of the year. It is one of my personal favorites of the year. It's a good time. It's a really good time. It's an easy watch. It's short. It's a coming of age film. It's the type of stuff that you can just put on and you'll enjoy no matter where you're from, who you are. It doesn't matter. Didi talks about this young boy who is, just trying to fit in, find who he is as a person. You see him struggle with his family. He doesn't quite get along with his sister. He doesn't quite get along with his mother. His grandmother lives with him, and it's a disaster. You can tell he's awkward and shy, but he wants to get along. He wants to fit in with cool kids. He wants to skateboard with the big dogs, and he'll do anything to get their approval, but without knowing that the only people you need the approval of, or, I mean, you don't need, but in this case, it's your family. And he's brushing them aside, and it's heartbreaking, but it's also beautiful. And that mother and son dynamic, one of the best I've seen on screen in a long time. For people who grew up in that early 2000s to mid 2000s era, this movie will just really strike home for you. There's a lot of relatability, that early internet era where everyone is texting on their computers and watching really low quality YouTube videos, It really is relatable, and that's the best part about this movie. Is no matter what, you can relate to this movie. It's just a really beautiful film. So go watch Dee Dee. Give that movie some fucking love, please. So at number 6, we have Honora, directed by Sean Baker. Wow, this is easily one of the most entertaining films I've seen all year. Partly, well, mainly due to the screenplay. The screenplay was airtight. So many twists and turns. You don't even see them coming, but when they do, you're kind of like, whoa, what the fuck? This story is it just turned into something completely different. And you're down for it, right? There's that cool like cat and mouse chase in the middle of the film, which I found super funny, super engaging. And that's when we really got to see that the ensemble cast is super, super talented. Obviously, the main star is Mikey Madison, and the movie wouldn't have worked without her dedication to this role. I spoke a lot about her in my previous video, so just go over there to see my thoughts on her. But mainly, this movie, it's really devastating. It's not a fun, easy movie. No, not at all, right? There's a lot of themes of questioning self-worth, of depression, of the class system. It's just really disguised by this engaging story. But that's what Sean Baker does really well. This is familiar territory for him when it comes to sex work. He's tackled it a bunch before in films like Tangerine or even The Florida Project, and those movies are brilliant. Go watch those. But what Honora does really well is make it very accessible. And because of this accessibility, it was one of the biggest films of the year. Everyone was talking about Mikey Madison and Sean Baker and Honora. Oh, and this ending is easily one of the most devastating endings of the year. It just kind of leaves you with silence. You just can't help but like sit there in silence. And that's how it was at my cinema. We were laughing, everyone was engaged and cheering on the whole movie up until that ending. And we were like, wow, this is really sad. Like, you feel so bad. You really do. And that's the genius of this movie. It's at every moment, the script, the screenplay, the performances, it's all shifting and evolving into something brand new. And you kind of just have to go with it, right? It could give you like tonal whiplash, but I don't even see it that way. I see it more as like this insane ride of emotions. I'm happy. Super, super happy that it's getting this praise. Sean Baker deserves it. Mikey Madison deserves it. So let's just hope that the Oscars agree. So let's move on to my top 5. So jumping into our top 5, starting it off, we have Sing Sing, directed by Greg Creeder. This movie really hits a soft spot for me. You know, I am an artist. At the end of the day, I'm an actor, and it's a craft that I'm so passionate about. It's why I'm doing this, right? So I get to talk about film, and I get to talk about acting, and even music, as you can tell, is one of my passions, and we'll get to more music videos. But the idea is, no matter what art form you're practicing, it doesn't even have to be art. Whatever it is, whatever you are passionate about, it could save your life. It really can. It really can. You know, escaping into an art and really putting effort into mastering it, that's what's beautiful. And this movie talks about some convicts who are in prison, and they have this little theater group. And this little theater group brings so much joy to their lives while they're stuck in some prison, right? And they do fun theater games that I fucking did in theater school. So it really is relatable and emotional. And you get to see Coleman Domingo's character go through a wave of emotions as he's trying to get out of prison, right? He's constantly doing the appeal. He's trying to get out, but he can't get out. So his only source of joy is to be in the theater group and write plays for them to do. And it's gorgeous. It really is. And what I love most about this film is that they didn't use big A-list actors besides Coleman Domingo and Paul Raci, or Raci. I never know how to pronounce his name properly, but everyone else, they're all actual people. They're real people playing themselves and their real stories in that movie. That just adds to the realism of that film and the reality that art, acting, writing, drawing, singing, whatever it is, that is important. And it's important that everybody finds something that they're passionate about. Because when it's all said and done and you have nothing left in the world, you need to fall back on something. Because, that's what life is about. Life is art. Art is there for us to have entertainment, for us to find who we are as a person. It's just a fucking beautiful movie. And it really hit me when I watched it. I'm not gonna lie. It really fucking did. So, yeah, that's number 5. So number 4, we have The Substance, directed by Coralie Fargé, and yeah, wow, this is a movie. This is a movie. It's a movie that was made, and I'm glad it was made. First time I went to see this movie was with my sister and her boyfriend and my girlfriend, us four together. We go watch movies often, and we were in the mood to go watch a horror movie. And I had heard about The Substance a while ago, and a lot. I knew it was a big, big thing. Everyone was loving it, but I also didn't know much about the contents of the film. I knew it was a horror film, and I knew it was somewhat body horror. But I wasn't prepared for that. None of us were. Holy fuck! This movie's batshit crazy in the best way possible. It is obviously following Demi Moore's character as she's getting fired from her job and she's getting really self-conscious and insecure about the way she looks, right? Because that's what Hollywood and that's what beauty standards do, especially to women. So she feels like she needs to be better, be her best self, look vibrant and young, and so she gets a drug. And this drug, well, I think everyone knows about this movie, but basically she creates a whole new person that emerges from her fucking back. And what makes this movie so good is the sound design. The fact that this movie got snubbed at the Oscars for sound blows me away, because this movie wouldn't have been as good, or it wouldn't have hit as hard, if we didn't hear every single thing that was going on in that bathroom. It wouldn't have hit the same. The stitching, the bones cracking, the skin tearing apart. I'm cringing just speaking about it. But taking all that aside, there's a huge meaning in this film that is important. It is important, and this film did it in a very entertaining way. I'm so itchy, sorry. Okay, so number 3 is A Real Pain, directed by Jesse Eisenberg. This movie is so good. I love this movie. I really do. It's so simple, raw, just open. There's no theatrics. There's nothing huge and grand about the film. Even the cinematography, it's not the strong suit for this movie. That's not what the point of it was. Instead, it was about kind of seeing how humans interact, and do they really care about each other beyond themselves? Right? Can they put aside their own ego? Can they put aside their own issues and be there for someone who needs them? It's just heartbreaking, and it really is beautiful. It is the title of the movie. It's about studying real human pain amongst two cousins who have been apart for such a long time, but they used to be so close, and now one cousin is dealing with trauma and depression, and the other cousin having a family and kids and a really good job and a nice place in New York City, and he also has issues, but he doesn't feel like he can talk about them because one cousin is clearly going through more, and then that makes that cousin feel bitter, and this cousin feels like that cousin doesn't care about them, and it's a lot. It's a lot. It really is. And why it did so well? It is because Jesse Eisenberg, and specifically Kieran Culkin, put on world-class performances. Some of their best, to be really honest. I think this is Jesse Eisenberg's best since The Social Network. And this is Kieran Culkin's best, period, in my opinion. Just go watch it. Just go watch it. If you have Disney Plus, it's on Disney Plus, go watch it. And if you don't have Disney Plus, stream it, I don't know, somehow. But I promise you it's worth it. It really is. It hit me, it connected with me. I can't recommend this movie enough, and that's my number 3. All right, so my runner-up, coming in second place, we have Dune Part 2, directed by Denis Villeneuve, which, I mean, shout out Montreal. This is epic as fuck. This is like sci-fi porn. Honestly, it really is. If you loved Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever, if you loved the Herbert classic Dune, if you loved that, you're gonna love this. And for those who watched Dune Part 1, my sister, and hated it, my sister, this is not like Dune Part 1. This movie is leagues ahead of Dune Part 1. It is paced way better. There is bigger, more emotional moments. There are jaw-dropping sequences. There is the score that is absolutely breathtaking. It looks beautiful. There's nothing about this movie that didn't work. There were some amazing performances like Austin Butler, whom I talked about. Timothée Chalamet was great. Zendaya was great. Javier Bardem was great. Florence Pugh was great. They were all great. There's a lot to love about this movie, and it's because everything is epic. It's grand. The movie feels bigger than you. It feels like the stakes are way higher, and you can't even comprehend how high they are. It made something like Dune, which is really, really dense, it made it accessible. Not only did it make it accessible, but it made it wildly entertaining. And I'm so glad that Denis Villeneuve is making another one, Dune Messiah, and I can't wait for that. But my God, he's getting snubbed at these award ceremonies. Like, it's insane. How the hell are you not talking about Dune Part 2? Anyway, that's a whole other topic of discussion. Let's move on to my film of the year. And coming in at number 1 for my favorite film of 2024, mind you, there are still films I have yet to see that could possibly make it onto this list, but for now, my favorite film of 2024 is The Wild Robot, directed by Chris Sanders. When it comes to animation and DreamWorks in general, I don't think they've crafted a movie like this. Well, I mean, DreamWorks has been on a crazy run, but the point I'm making is that The Wild Robot is stunning. Let's start there. The animation, drop dead gorgeous. I have never seen water in animation films look that beautiful. It's moving with such like fluidity. It feels like it's actually water. It kind of reminds me of Finding Nemo and how we were all like amazed by how that ocean and that water looked. It's the same thing. The colors are vibrant, they pop at you, everything feels textured. It's just it really is beautiful. Some of it is hand drawn mixed with obviously 3D animation, and that they've been doing a while. They did it with Puss in Boots. And in Puss in Boots, again, that's one of my favorite animation films of the decade. The Wild Robot is everything it needed to be, and more. I hold on a second. I loved the movie so much. I went and bought the box set that comes with all 3 books just because I needed to read the source material. I needed to. They did an exceptional job at telling a story about motherhood and about how it doesn't matter if it's blood related, if it's a friend, if it's someone that was just dropped on your doorstep. Raising someone requires genuine love and heart. And when you do love that person and you want to make sure that they grow up to be their best self and you would do anything to protect them, you will see the limits in which you will go to protect that person. And the movie starts with all the animals talking, making animal noises, and the robot doesn't understand what's going on until the robot learns to adapt to these animals. And then we hear the animals talk. And it's like, wow, that's fucking amazing. And some of the most, oh my God, awe-inspiring, sad moments. I cried the whole fucking movie. My girlfriend cried the whole fucking movie. We were crying the whole fucking movie. It just is a movie that blew me away. And when I think of one movie this year that I had the most raw and I had the best experience watching, it is The Wild Robot. And For that alone, it's my favorite film of the year. But just go watch The Wild Robot. Do yourself a favor, go watch that movie, and then come back here, write in the comment section, and be like, I just watched The Wild Robot. It is fantastic. I already know you're going to say that. I really do. It's one of those movies that I'm absolutely confident, no matter where you're from, who you are, if you grew up with or without a mother, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It serves everyone. It's fantastic. As you can tell, I feel really fucking passionate about this movie. But yeah, that's my favorite film of the year. So, boom. Here's a duck. Squeege out.